All right. All right. So you have the controls coach, and
Perfect.
yeah, rock and roll.
All right, guys. My name is Jason Thier. I'm the defensive coordinator here at Dickinson State University. We're located in Dickinson, North Dakota. We compete as an NAIA school in the North Star Athletic Conference, and we've had a pretty good showing of Alaskan players here on our roster the last 3 years. We've had 8 different Alaska players, with 5 of those guys becoming all conference guys for us, and we have 3 more that are coming in this year as well. So Alaska is becoming a big part of our recruiting plan. So it's a big honor for me to be able to share some of the things that we do here defensively with you guys, and it's a pleasure to be able to get on here. The one thing I'll say is, as I go through this, because we have a little bit of a time constraint, it's gonna be hard to do questions, but if you guys do have any questions or anything like that, just write them down, and I'm an open book. I'll give you guys my contact information here at the end, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you want the presentation, I'll share it with you. I have no problem giving any of this stuff away, but what we'll talk about here today is defending 3x1s using split field coverage concepts. And the reason why this has become really important to us is the last 2 years, we kind of looked at what we were really having to defend on a year-to-year basis. And we defend 3x1 formations more than we defend anything else. And so if we're so vanilla versus what we're doing versus 3x1s, now we're allowing the offense to really dictate the defenses that we're going to be in. So we wanted to make sure we were being multiple and still being able to take away all the things that each individual offense really wanted to do out of their 3x1 formations. And then we even really took it a step further because, we treat most 3x2 empty formations the exact same way as we treat 3x1s. So now we got all the way up to half of the time we're playing the same coverage in the game. So we had to have multiple options. And then in today's world too, 2x1s are starting to become like 3x1s with the fast speed motion out of the backfield to the 3 receiver side by one of the backs. So when you look at it, really 2/3 of the time, you're really defending 3x1 formations. So you better have a lot of options in how to do that. Because once again, I just feel like if we are running the exact same coverage versus all 3x1s, 2x1s, and empty sets, offenses are going to know exactly what we're doing and be able to pick us apart. So the things that we consider when we start thinking about what we want to do versus 3x1 formations, the very first thing is always, do we need to have an extra defender in the box based off of the down and distance, the situation, and the personnel? And, as I'm a linebacker coach, I played linebacker. Our philosophy here is always stop the run. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. The easiest way to always stop the run is have the numbers advantage. There's other ways to stop the run, even when you don't have a numbers advantage, but that's always going to be our first answer. If we truly feel like we have to stop the run, it's getting the numbers advantage to do it. So if it's an early down and distance, a 50-50 down, maybe we want +1 in the box, but maybe it's a 2-minute drill situation. We're not interested in having the +1 defender in the box, or maybe it's 10 personnel and their run pass percentages or 80% pass. So getting that +1 defender in the box might not be a priority. So we have to determine, do we need to get that +1 defender in the box based off of those 3 things? After we figure that out, the next question we have is, can we play man coverage to the single wide receiver side? And there's a lot of things that will dictate whether or not we can or we can't do this. First off, is your corner good enough to truly play man-to-man on the number 1 wide receiver? And if he's able to do that, that's fantastic. You should probably take advantage of that as often as you possibly can. But most cases, you're going to get in situations where that guy can't, or maybe they're running a lot of 2-man concepts over there with the running back, and they're running pick routes, or maybe your linebacker can't play the running back man-to-man. So a lot of different factors could play into the reason why you don't feel like you can play man to the single wide receiver side, but you got to determine that as well. And then the next thing we look at is, are we going to be concerned about 3 verts on the multiple wide receiver side? And obviously, in order to be sound on defense in general, you better be able to cover 4 verticals at all times, whether that's out of 2x2s or 3x1s. So, but not everybody's always going to run the 3 verticals to the 3 wide receiver side. It could be based off of the formation, the difference between having an attached number 3 versus an extended number 3. And you have to decide personally, like, what is enough 3 verticals that I'm worried about it? Is it 10% of the time? Is it 25% of the time? Does it have to be 50%? We set our marker at 25. If they're running 3 verticals, 25% of the time to that 3 receiver side, then we definitely have to treat it as if it's a big factor for us in our game plan. If it's less than that, then we feel okay with defending as if we get 3 verts and we have an answer for it, but we don't have to be super alert about it. And then the last thing that I'll talk about is sometimes the coverage that you choose on one side of the formation can dictate the coverage on the other side of the formation. And I know, split field coverage concepts, the thing that's great about them is that they're independent, but every now and then there is some overlap. If you choose to play a certain coverage on the single receiver side, it might limit some of your options on the 3 receiver side and vice versa. And I'll kind of point some of those things out as well. Okay. So this is the flow chart that is basically a look into our defensive staff's mind when we're game planning 3-by-1 formations. And it basically goes through exactly what those things to consider were. We always start with, do we need the extra defender in the box? And then we're going to travel down based on yes or no answers the rest of the way. And by the time we get down to the bottom of the flow chart, then we understand, okay, in this situation, this is the best option for us coverage wise versus the 3-by-1. So this whole clinic is basically going to go through this flow chart. And again, if any of you guys are interested in having this flow chart, I can get it to you after the fact. I can send it to you in an email or anything like that. That's no problem. Okay. So the first question is, do we need +1 in the box based on a down distance situation of personnel? If we decide that answer is yes, then the next question is, can we play the single wide receiver man-to-man? And if we determine that we can, we feel great, we got to get an extra guy in the box and we think we can play man on that single side. Now we have one other option we have to consider. Do we want to flood the 3 receiver side in coverage? And the reason why we might want to do that is maybe they're a big sprint out team. Maybe they're trying to hit 3-level routes, flat, intermediate, deep on the sideline with the sprint out concepts. Maybe they're doing something to try to put somebody in a conflict over there, high-lowing your hook curl defender. So if you feel like you need to flood that side and the answer is yes, then what we would play to the single wide receiver side is what we call insert. And all these terms are universal. You could call it whatever you want. We change a lot of these terms just to fit the buckets that we use in our teaching. You can change it to anything you want. You could call each one of these anything that you wanted to call them to make them fit the verbiage that you're already using with your current defensive schemes. So what insert is for us is a man concept. Our corner is either going to be press or he'll play off. When we play off, it's 7-by-1 inside leverage. And then we do read 3-step if we're playing off. And then he's what we refer to as mess on 1. And mess stands for man except shallow. So he has the number 1 wide receiver everywhere he goes, unless he runs an immediate shallow route. And if he's going to go immediately shallow, we always tell him to guarantee that he's not just taking an inside stem and then trying to press you vertical before you ever cut it loose. And then once he does cut it loose, we tell him to give a help call inside. And what he's telling the inside dropper is, I'm out here. So you no longer have to worry about the first thing that's going to threaten the flat, and I'll take that over from you. So he's got man on 1, unless 1 runs shallow, then we're going to cut him loose. Okay. For the safety is going to start 10 yards deep, stacked right on top of the offensive tackle. And we want to hold this too high look as long as we possibly can. Everything that we do here is out of too high, and then we rotate from there. We want to hold everything as long as possible. Obviously, never putting ourselves in a situation where we're not able to do our job, but the longer we can hold disguises, the better. I feel like post-snap rotations always cause a lot more confusion for quarterbacks than pre-snap rotations because it has to happen a lot faster in their minds. So the safety, we call this insert, is because he's going to insert into the box. He is going to become that +1 defender that we're looking for to be able to equate the box numbers. So when he comes down, he'll come down right on top of the snap, and then he'll be responsible for whatever the open gap is on the single wide receiver side. And then his drop responsibility is what we call man progression, and both mess and man progression are going to show up a ton as I'm talking through this. And that's one of the things that's great about this is a lot of these coverage concepts just carry over from one call to the next. We're just changing which player is doing it. So it makes it really simple for us to teach. Once everybody understands what mess is, once everybody understands what man progression is, now different players can kind of take on those roles. So man progression for us means that we are in man coverage. We just don't know who that man is yet. So we have to go through a progression of who could be the first immediate threat to the man side. And then that's who I'm going to take over. So we tell them it's flare, cross, or check down. The flare of the running back is the first immediate threat. That's the guy who can get there faster than anybody else. So if we get a flare from the back, he's mine. I'm inside leverage, staying on top of him. I have no help from anybody. If the back doesn't flare, now I'm looking for a crosser coming from that 3 receiver side. It could be a shallow crosser, could be a crosser that's climbing. The new, trend right now is that 10 to 15 yard cross country route. If we deem it's a crosser, we always tell the guy, if it's gray, take it. And so then he'll take that guy and it becomes man coverage. If there is no crosser, then we're looking for the back to check out to that man side. So those are the biggest threats in our mind: flare, crosser, check down. If I ever hear the help call from the corner, now I know I can let the first thing that's going to go to the flat go. So I wouldn't have to take the flare because the corner can pick up the flare, and then I'm looking for the crosser. Okay. And then for our backer now, because our safety is coming down into the box and insert, this is how we can flood that 3 receiver side. We're going to get our backer that's is usually on our single wide receiver side now dropping over towards the 3 receiver side. And what he becomes for us is a vertical of 3 player. And vertical 3 just means if 3 is going to go vertical, you have him, you want to be inside and you want to be on top. But if he does not go vertical, we'll play this the same way we'll play any mere 3 drop in a split field coverage concept. So 3 goes out, escort him out, looking for your new 3 to come in. If 3 goes in, escort him across until you can pass him, and then look for something coming back. So we're just finding the final number 3 if 3 doesn't go vertical. And then what's nice about this, again, because we're bringing that safety into the box, we have no conflict defenders against RPO games. So he's responsible for the open gap on the 3 receiver side inside the box. He doesn't have to hold off any RPO throw or anything like that. And then what allows us to do this by bringing that safety in, now we can push all of our other underneath droppers one zone over. So my original 3 dropper just became my 2 dropper. My original 2 dropper just became my 1 dropper. And then that's how we can take care of all those flooded pass routes. Okay. So here's an example of us playing insert. So we're playing insert up top here. And I'm going to go to the tight view here so you can see my backer is going to cheat his alignment over because he's responsible for the open gap on the 3 receiver side. This creates the space for my safety to come down into the box. The other thing that's really great about this is these guys never count safeties in their run fit for blocking. So when this guy comes into the box, no offensive lineman is going to combo off the 3 technique up to a safety when he holds the disguise. So we get a lot of free runners here whenever we do this, which is exactly what happens right here in this clip. You'll see as the safety comes down into the box, you can see nobody's working towards him, and we're going to get a free hitter here into the run game. It looks like we have a 1-backer box. So most offenses are going to say, yeah, let's run this thing. And then we're able to get the numbers equated into our advantage. Okay. This next clip is an example of the vertical 3 concept. So we're going to watch this backer right here. He's playing vertical 3. So again, we want to have inside and on top leverage. So this was a 2-minute drill situation, and we felt really good about this matchup with their number 3 wide receiver. We had a really great athlete at Mike Backer, so we used this a ton last year. But you can see he's working to stay on top and inside of him. And then right here, we'll take this matchup all day. He does a good job of coming back, playing up through the hands, right? And he was hoping to get a PI here. They didn't get it. But if this number 3 wide receiver had done anything else, he becomes your typical final 3 player in any other 2-high split field concept. So this just allows us to continue to put some pressure on the single wide receiver side if we want to, or not have to use that safety and coverage. All right. So once we arrived at insert, now the third question is, do they run 3 verts? And if we're not concerned about 3 verts, then we're going to play what we call stress to the 3 receiver side. And the reason why we call this stress is because we only have 2 players for 3 vertical threats. But again, if we're calling this, we're not overly concerned about 3 vertical threats, but you still have to understand how to play 3 verts if you're going to get them. Okay. So our corner, he is going to line up 7x1 inside the number 1 wide receiver. And then he uses divider rules for his leverage on the number 1 wide receiver post snap. And that's 5-1 bottom based off of where the ball is. So if the ball's on the far hash, we want him to be 5 yards inside the numbers, which is basically right between the numbers and the hash. If the ball's in the middle of the field, he's 1 yard inside the numbers. And then if the ball is on the near hash, then he's working off the bottom of the numbers as his divider rule. And that just determines if this wide receiver is inside the divider, he's outside the receiver. If the wide receiver is outside the divider, then he's going to be inside the wide receiver. And then he is what we call a vortex third player. This is a cover 3 concept. Okay. And he is reading 2. If 2 is vertical, he will stay vertical and he will split number 1 and number 2, leaning a little bit heavier towards number 2, because if they are going to throw one of the verts and 3 verts in stress, it better be the vertical to the field. Most quarterbacks don't have the arm strength to get it all the way to the field vertical. Most quarterbacks won't even attempt it. So we challenge guys, throw it. We feel like we can baseball turn and still get over there in time if it happens. If this is how they beat us, throwing the vertical to number 1 in stress coverage, we can sleep happy at night knowing that they just had a great player that we can be able to defend in this particular way. If 2 is not vertical and 2 goes in, then it turns into mess on 1. So if 1 was shallow also, then we can slough it off. Otherwise, we'll take all of 1. And then if 2 is out, we're going to squeeze 1 and look for the wheel. So that way, if we do get a wheel, it turns itself right back into being in that split on the divider, being able to help out on the vertical 1 and the wheel of 2 if it were to happen. Okay. And then if he ever hears a hear call from his safety's telling you that number 3 did not go vertical. So now I can push myself back heavier onto the vertical 1 because the safety can take all of the vertical of 2. Okay. So then for the safety is our middle third player. We want to disguise this just like we would disguise any quarters coverage. So we're going to line up inside number 2, 12 yards deep. And then we are full speed pedal out on the snap. And we're working to play right between number 2 and number 3. So if 2 and 3 are both vertical, we're going to play the divider between the 2 of them, leaning a little bit heavier on 3 because I know the corner is going to lead a little bit heavier on 2, making them throw that vertical all the way out to number 1. As soon as one of these guys is no longer vertical, he'll then communicate the hear call to the corner, and then he'll attach himself to the only vertical threat that is left. Okay. And then for our backer, he's what we call a skiff defender. We want to line him up inside the number 2 wide receiver, splitting the end man line of scrimmage, or the number 3 wide receiver if number 3 is extended. And the way that we teach our skiff defenders is that we want to protect the seam, sit in the curl, and then drive the flat. So the way that we protect the seam is reroute. So reroute is a priority. We want to work flat, get hands on the number 2 wide receiver as early as we possibly can to force him to get on levels if they're going to run 3 verts out here. Once we've protected the seam, if there's no curl threat, then we will drive the flat late. All right. That's what we're giving up in this coverage. This is the weakest spot whenever we're playing stress, is the field flat. And I'll show you a bunch of clips here, how offenses never want to throw the ball there anyways. So why not give up the one thing that they're never wanting to throw the ball to? Okay. And then the last thing that he has whenever we're playing skiff on 2 is he has 2-3 pickup rules, which means if 3 out leverages 2, then we now have him MEG coverage, which MEG stands for man everywhere he goes. Okay. So if we ever take a 2-3 pickup, we now have that 2-3 pickup MEG coverage. Nothing will take us off of him at that point. Okay. So here's a bunch of clips of us playing stress. We play a decent amount of stress, just depending on the situation. We played a lot versus empty, but we're playing stress here down the bottom. So my corner is reading 2. He's got the vortex third, 2's vert, stay vert. So we're good here until right now. There's no reason for him to be worried about this hitch. Okay. This is what we're giving up. We're giving up this flat. He should be staying vertical because right now that guy's open. If this quarterback had time, he could have found him and we would have been in big trouble. Okay. Safety, he's responsible for playing the middle third. Again, I don't think there's any reason for him to chase this guy all the way across the field because his shoulders are completely perpendicular. He is not continuing to climb. He's flattened this out. He's going to run over to whatever our coverage help is now on the single wide receiver side. And now my safety can work back towards number 2. So what I should see is my safety and my corner both on this vertical of 2 here. And then my skiff dropper, this is an average skiff drop at best. We get no reroute with our hands, but the proximity remount at least forces him to bubble. And then we should zone turn this, getting our eyes back to the quarterback so we could see a possibility of any 2-3 pickups coming our way. Okay, here's another clip of it. So here's empty, playing stress up top. Here's my vortex third, middle player. And then here's my skiff 2 player. And again, this is just your typical final 3 dropper. He's got 3. If 3 goes out, if scored and find the new 3, he has no responsibility to 3 vertical if we're playing stress. So here, this is a great example of the hear call, right? 3 immediately is no longer vertical. Safety can make the hear call. Corner's doing a great job playing the divider. Two's vert. He's staying vert. Okay. Once again, my skiff dropper's hanging us out to dry. No reroute on 2. And now there's nothing in the curl. So he should be driving the flat. And if he drives the flat, he's going to end up right underneath that route. And then his 2-3 pickup is going to run right to him. So our 2-3 pickup dropper, our skip player is not helping us here at all. Okay. Another empty set. So we're playing stress down here. All right. Corner's vortex third, 2's vert, stay vert. So right now 2's no longer vertical. So he can play mess on 1. All right. Now I'm fine with him being this loose here, especially if we were through game plan expecting some type of deep outbreaking route by the number 3 wide receiver. But he could be definitely a lot more aggressive on 1 as soon as 2 is no longer vertical here. But here's a perfect example. Look at how wide open this guy is. Without a doubt, he is wide open. Okay. Coaches don't tell quarterbacks to throw the ball here. Quarterbacks don't want to throw the ball here because this is a long throw for not very many yards. He's staring in an area where we have all of our bodies committed right now when he could easily throw it out here and get a completion. So that's why stress is such a great option, because you're forcing offenses to put the ball where they really don't want it to go. Okay. High safety. He's only got 1 vertical threat now, so he can attach himself to that 1 vertical threat. And then my skiff dropper here, I would argue right now he could pass this to his 3 dropper, which would then allow him to expand back out and then help on that flat route to the field. All right, here's a great example, the 2-3 pickup. So once again, vortex third for my corner, middle third, skiff 2. He's my final 3. So here's your 2-3 pickup. 3 is going to bubble. So now he attacks the outside shoulder. He cannot allow the number 3 wide receiver to out leverage him. He does a good job with his hands, forces the ball to stay inside. My 3 dropper is going to escort 3 out until something pulls him off. Nothing's pulling him off. So he stays inside out. We're 2-on-1. Again, if you look at this, most offenses are going to go, yeah, I like the spacing. Okay. Through the course of the game, I know that corner's bailing out. So we're going to have him 3-on-2 down here. Okay. Well, you still got to block in space. So we always talk about how we cannot get blocked by part-time blockers. Nobody became a wide receiver to be a blocker. So we better be able to beat those guys in space by using our hands. And that's the advantage that we have by being able to use our hands on defense. It's the only thing they haven't taken away from us yet. They've taken everything else away, but we're still able to use our hands at least. Okay. So we use states as our 3-by-1 coverage adjustments. So if it is a West Coast state, our players all know we're always going to play stress on the 3 receiver side. So the only thing that's different for West Coast states is what we do on the single wide receiver side. So this state, if we were playing insert and we were playing stress, is zona for us. And so we can flood this. So now, because I'm playing insert and I can push all my drops over, I no longer play with a skiff player. I get a curl flat droppers. Now I just took away that one weakness that stress had. And now my original 3 dropper can become a hook curl dropper. And then I gain the vertical 3 player on the single wide receiver side from playing stress. Okay. So now I got plenty of numbers in the box. I'm going to have 6 for 5 in the box. And then I'm actually playing a version of 5/3 in coverage here. So again, this is your advantage. If you are able to play man over here, you can definitely flood the 3 receiver side and then still be able to match numbers into the box. So here's an example of us playing zona. We play a lot of zona. This is one of our base 3-by-1 coverages. Good job by the safety here. You can see he's holding it. There's no reason for him to creep that early. He can hold it all the way to the snap. You can see my skip dropper is pushing all the way out to the flat. So now what would have been his 2-3 pickup is running right to him. You can see my original 3 dropper is now working to the hook curl. So now we've got an inside outside bracket on number 3. Here's my vertical 3 player. 3 is not vertical. So now it just turns into final 3. So he stays inside and underneath, and we're able to cover it up. And then here's my vortex third. 2's vert, stay vert. 2's not vert. So now we're playing mess on 1. So again, easy way to flood the coverage, and then we're still sound in the box. All right. Well, let's say that 3 verts is a problem. All right. If 3 verts really is a problem, now we have to determine which backer do we feel the most comfortable running with vertical routes. And because we've already committed a safety to the single wide receiver side if we're playing insert. Okay. So if we like the matchup on number 3 the best, then we'll play vertical 3. But if I'm playing insert I already have a vertical of 3 player. So this is where coverage could dictate coverage. So if I'm playing insert, I'm never going to make another backer vertical of 3 because my single side backer is already going to be my vertical of 3 player. So then what we automatically would play here if we're worried about 3 verts is what we call blue. Okay. And so what blue is a coverage where our rover is really a nickel. And so if you are playing a nickel defense or you have an outside backer who is more of a DB type of guy, then this is a great option. And this kind of takes away all the weaknesses of stress. And then it allows the ability to play all your verticals. So our corner is going to play Meg on 1, which means man everywhere he goes. So he's got locked up on 1. And then all we're doing is we're playing a palms concept, which is 2 read. If you guys are familiar with what palms is, off of number 2 and number 3, with our nickel or our outside backer playing the corner. Okay. So we want him to cheat during the cadence to outside leverage on number 2. Right. And then he is going to be what we call the carry 2 dropper. So he is reading off of number 3 and he is playing mess on 2 unless 3 comes out before this linebacker's level. If he comes out before that backer's level, he's going to take 3 and it becomes Meg. If number 3 does anything else besides go out before this backer's level, he's playing mess on 2. So this allows us now to play the vertical 1 and the vertical 2 with this backer in this corner. Okay. So then for the safety, he's reading off of number 3 as well. So his alignment is 12/2 inside of number 3. So once again, he can start inside 2 and then stem his alignment during the cadence to get inside of number 3. Same way this guy will start inside 2 and then stem his alignment out. And his responsibility is he has the vertical of 3. So if 3 gets to the backer's level, we deem that vertical. So now he's going to have him. Okay. If he goes out before the backer's level, he's going eyes and body right here to the number 2 wide receiver because my rover's coming off at 2 now and he's taking 3. And we want to stay on top and inside of that route. If this guy goes shallow immediately, right, now we become a robber. And if we're a robber, we rob off the quarterback. If the quarterback is looking away from us, we're bursting right now to the post because we want to play everything top to bottom as a bonus player. If he's looking at us, we're playing the curl to the post on this number 2 wide receiver based off the shoulder of the quarterback. If it's a low shoulder, we're under the curl. If it's a high shoulder, we're bursting to get on top of the post on this side. Okay. So again, it's just your basic palms concept. And then my inside backer now is no longer playing final 3. He plays curl 3. And we want him to line up inside the number 3 wide receiver. And I can't stress this enough, the importance of teaching this guy the difference between being a final 3 player and being a curl 3 player. As a curl 3 player, he's got 2-3 pickup rules the same way that our skiff dropper did in stress. So if there's a back right here, okay, and let's say we get a vertical, so the corner's gone. We get a vertical here and a vertical here. So my safety's got this vertical, my rover's got this vertical. If this back swings, there is absolutely nobody else out here. So my curl 3 player has to take that as a 2-3 pickup. Okay, we call it a 3-4 pickup because it's number 4 out leveraging number 3. Okay, but if he doesn't, we got nobody else out here. And I'm going to show you a clip where our guy doesn't do that and it ends up being an explosive pass play. Okay, but now we can cover all 3 verticals and still be able to get the extra defender into the box. So here's some clips of blue. So the corner up top, he's playing Meg. So there's 1 vert. Rover right here. You can see he cheats his alignment during the cadence. His eyes are on 3. 3 got to the backer. So now he knows he's locked on number 2, outside and on top. Good. My safety knows he has 3 now because the number 3 got to the backer. And then my backer does a good job bending. We teach our curl 3 defender, if 3 is vertical, bend to stay inside of him and make the ball be thrown up over your head so the safety has a chance to make a play on the ball. Then here our backside safety does a good job coming over and getting in on the play. We get an interception in the red zone. All right, here's our curl 3 player not taking the 3-4 pickup. Okay, so once again, corner's got Meg. So he's gone with 1, right? And then here's your back on the swing. This backer right here is responsible for that back now. And if he doesn't come off, we're not going to have anybody. Now for my rover, as he's playing carry 2 here, he's got mess on 2. So as this guy goes in, now he can zone this off. So we actually gain him here. If he just stays inside out, this actually wouldn't have been as bad. And then my safety, right? 3's vertical. He's got to stay at the vertical 3. So I should actually have 2 defenders out here on this swing right now. When we miss a tackle in the open field and we have a bad curl 3 player, and then there's an explosive run play. Pass play, more explosive. We give up more explosives in blue to the back because our curl 3 defender forgets he's playing curl 3 than anything else. So again, I can't stress enough the importance of teaching that to that inside dropper. All right, here on the motion, we go to blue. We make sure that these 2 guys are always on levels, and we put it on the corner. We never want our corner and our outside backer / nickel to be on the same level so they can get picked off. So we tell our corner to go and press, usually if we're playing blue. And then here's your 3's coming out before the backer level. So now my rover comes off. Then my safety now is responsible for the vertical of 2. Here's my curl 3 defender. He's inside the final 3 right now. He doesn't have any 3-4 pickups that he has to worry about. And you can see we're able to take everything away. Quarterback's going to scramble. We'll rally up. All right. So if we're playing insert and we're playing blue, that's a northern state for us. Any northern state, we're playing blue to the 3 receiver side, because if you get cold, you start to turn blue. So again, just trying to help our guys understand and remember things. So Michigan has an I in it, insert, and then it's a northern state. So we're playing blue to that 3 receiver side. And again, we can push these drops. The only person that gets to push is my curl 3 dropper, because my rover is not an underneath dropper. He's a vertical dropper. So now instead of playing curl 3, this guy pushes out the curl 2 because I'm going to gain my vertical 3 player. And what's great about this is now my safety doesn't really have to play 3 vertical by himself. So he can play the divider of number 2 and number 3. And once again, we're getting 5/3 in the route distribution here. So here's an example of Michigan. All right, on the motion, you can see my safety up top is talking to my corner and my backer. My backers are adjusting their alignment. Okay, you can see my rover here is going to work himself out. He can be aggressive on any screen by 2 or 3, but he cannot be aggressive on a screen by 1 because he is responsible for the vertical of 2. But as soon as 2 or 3 are screening, he can go because my safety will be the sucker player. When you watch this from the other view, you'll see once again on this motion, they're going to see the Mike leave the box and they're thinking, all right, we got numbers in the box. Right now, backer's over. We got plenty of numbers. Here comes my safety into the box, and we get all the numbers back again. All right. So then let's say I'm not worried about flooding that 3 wide receiver side, but I feel like I can still play man. Well, now let's get aggressive. So we're either going to call slash or we're going to call cut. Okay. And what slash is we're going to blitz the safety. So my corner's playing mess, just like he would an insert. Now my safety is going to make it look like insert, and he's going to rush the open gap on that single wide receiver side. So you can stunt your front if you want to, or you can just have him rush right into that open gap. Okay. And then my backer now, because the safety is no longer playing man progression, he becomes my man progression player. So instead of playing vertical 3, he's now got flare, cross, or check down back to that single wide receiver side. So again, you can see the same concept showing up. So here's an example of slash. I would prefer that this safety doesn't creep like this. I'd rather him try to time it up full speed. Unless you're already pre-rolling the boundary, we're tipping off what we're doing. But this gives us the ability now. We do stunt the front here. So we're going to get Aaron into the A gap, or Zeke is going to chase here, and we're going to get 2 off the edge. And once again, you can see nobody can block my extra defender, which actually ends up being my will backer. The guy who's standing in the box, nobody blocks him because we have all these extra defenders coming into the box. Okay, cut is the exact same thing as slash. Slash starts with an S, so the safety rushes. Cut starts with a C, so the corner rushes. So now the corner is going to be our rusher. And if you're going to run cut, we do always stunt the front because the corner has to be the C gap rusher. Okay, so we do always stunt the front if it's going to be a cut call. And then the safety then has to replace as our mess 1 player. And what we tell him is if the corner is able to hold the disguise for a long time, then we can hold the disguise. But as soon as this corner starts tipping this off, we got to work over right now, because a lot of teams, as soon as they see a blitzing corner, they'll just hitch up real fast. They'll try to throw it out there and make you make an open field tackle. Okay. So we're on a string with our corner. Once he starts to show it, we're going to work ourselves over. Okay. And then for the backer, cut and slash, exact same thing, man progression. Right. So here's the corner. On the motion, we get the cut call. You can see the corner gets all excited because he knows it's coming. We use motions as blitz timing indicators. Most teams, when they motion, that ball is going to be snapped pretty quickly after the motion. So this is great blitz timing. This is a 1st and 10 play call. I'll take that every day of the week. If we can get a sack fumble on 1st and 10 by bringing edge pressure, that's going to be awesome. And again, the offensive line is not thinking that they have to pick up a corner on a blitz. So it's a way to get a 3rd level rusher that the offensive line is not considering in their protection. All right, so we're back to the same questions. All right, so do they run 3 verts? The answer is no. We're playing stress, right? So we know it's a West Coast state. So that's Wyoming for us. So it could be cut, could be slash, and now we're playing stress over here. We're not pushing anybody's drops because we're not gaining an extra defender on this 3 wide receiver side. Okay, so here's an example of Wyoming. We did slash on this one. So here's my safety on the rush. Okay, playing stress over here. Again, not a threat of 3 verts really if they're going to be playing with 12 personnel. So there's no reason for us to be playing anything where we got to cover 3 verts. Once again, you can see all the bodies in the box that we need to be able to stop the run. All right. Let's say we are worried about the 3 verticals and we deem that our inside backer on the vertical 3 is our best option. So now we're going to play vertical 3 instead of just playing final 3. So if we're playing vertical 3 with our original 3 dropper, that's a Midwest state because they're right down the center of the United States. So that tells that guy, I got to take anything that's going to run right down the center by the number 3 wide receiver. Okay. So again, could be slash, could be cut. And then what's beautiful about this is anytime that we have a backer who's strictly responsible for vertical 3, we can play any of our 2/3 concepts that we want to play on number 1 and number 2. So we just choose to play palms, which is mixed for us. It's that same concept that we talked about in blue. We're just playing it off of 1 and number 2. So now we can cover all the verticals if we're going to get them. Okay. So here's an example of Illinois. All right, so on this one, we went with cut because we had an attached tight end. So we wanted to bring the corner. We're playing palms up here. So they're all reading off a 2. My corner would have the vertical 1 if 1 was vert. The safety would have the vertical 2. Here's my vertical 3 player. And then my safety right now is playing mess on the tight end. And my corner's activated. So here, pin and pull, right? Not a great scenario to have an offensive lineman on a corner and your corner is your edge setter, especially if the corner is just sitting back here waiting for that offensive lineman to come and block him. So I'm a big believer, if a team is going to try to do that to you, activate your corner, because now this offensive lineman is getting contact a lot sooner than he expected. Okay. And we're able to try to set the edge 2 to 3 yards deeper in the backfield and make this running back make a decision. Now, I would have liked to have seen my corner keep his outside arm and leg free. So this ball had to stay inside. And then my defensive end right here would have made this tackle. Okay. But if they're going to try to get all linemen on corners, activate corners and let the corners be more aggressive. So you can see we have all the numbers. We just give up a little cut back there. All right, let's say we don't like the backer on 3 and we want him on 2, and we know we're going with blue. Okay, so once again, northern state. So Montana for us could be cut, could be slash, playing blue over here to the 3 receiver side. So here's an example of Montana. All right, this is that same game that we got that sack on 1st and 10. Once again, 1st and 10. We're running the exact same thing, okay? Keep doing it until they can fix it up. Once again, we don't get a sack this time, but we get edge pressure. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Our safety here, this is way too much space. If they had alerted this, they could have thrown it. But our corner does a great job of not tipping it off. He holds it all the way till the snap. But my safety's got to be a lot tighter here, okay? Playing blue up top. So when we get these 3 verts, corner's got 1, nickel's got 2, high safety's got 3. My curl 3 dropper does not need to carry this guy like this. There's no reason for him to do that. This is my man progression player. No flare, no crosser, no check down. You just became a bonus player. Shuffle and move off the quarterback's front shoulder. All right. So let's say we don't think we can play man. All right. Well, now If we're going to play zone to the single wide receiver side, I got to determine if I like my corner and run support, right? And if I don't like my corner and run support, then we're going to make what we call as a zone call. And zone for us is cover 3. That's all this is, okay? My corner's playing the deep third. He's only got one vertical threat, so it's really like mess, okay? My outside backer, he's going to play the curl flat. Aiming point is the numbers. Shuffle move off the quarterback's front shoulder. He is now my force player. So this is the extra defender I'm going to get in the box, okay? And then my inside backer's got hook curl. He's dropping to the hash. That's our aiming point. And the one thing I will tell you is we teach our hook curl dropper. If we're playing hook curl on a single wide receiver side, you let the back's departure determine your angle of departure. So if the back stays in, we're staying on the hash, shuffle, move off the quarterback. If this back swings to the single wide receiver side, we'll take an angle to leave the hash to try to get underneath whatever route might be coming by inside by number 1. If this back goes out to the 3 receiver side, we're going to take an angle to work to the 3 receiver side to pick up whatever might be coming back across the formation. Okay. So here's an example of a zone call. Again, this is just cover 3 over here on this side. So we didn't feel like we wanted a corner and run support here. Corner's playing mess. Again, way too far off here, but this is a good job by my outside backer. He's pushing out to the numbers inside of 1 as the curl flat. Here's my hook curl. This is what I'm talking about. If the back goes over to the 3 receiver side, we want to take an angle of departure towards the 3 receiver side. And then now you can see his drop actually puts him right underneath this curl route. When the quarterback starts to scramble, they convert it, obviously. But if he had sat there, we'd be right underneath it. Okay. And then now we're back to those same questions. Do we think we can run 3 verts? No. So now we're playing stress. Now, if we're playing zone and stress at the same time, we like to blitz a DB. So we're either going to blitz the corner, and then my safety's got the 3rd on this side in the zone call, or we'll blitz the safety, and then my corner's got the 3rd on the single wide receiver side. And then we're playing stress over here on the 3 receiver side. So here's an example of that in a game. This is actually versus empty on a 3rd and long. So we're going to blitz our safety. We're playing stress here. We're playing zone up top. So my corner is playing vortex 3rd and zone. 2's vert, stay vert. Great job by the corner. My backer drops out. He's got the numbers, curl flat. Good. Other backers on the hash. Great job. Okay, over here, we're playing stress. 2's vert, stay vert by the corner. Perfect. Okay, backer does a much better job in the reroute this time. Safety splitting the 2 verticals. Okay, once again, look who's wide open. On 3rd and 9, if they'd thrown it out here, that's a first down. Nobody wants to go there. Okay. If we are worried about 3 verticals, then we play carry. Okay. And what carry is carry is blue, but we're going to have both safeties involved on the 3 wide receiver side. Since I'm pushing 2 backers back to the single side in zone. So this is where, coverage dictates coverage. If I'm playing zone to the single side, I can never play blue because I'm pushing 2 backers over to the single side. But now, because I'm not committing my safety in zone to the single wide receiver side, I can commit my safety over to the 3 receiver side. So all carry is we're playing blue, and either my safety or my corner will play the mag on 1. The other one will have my carry 2 read. My backside safety will have the mix read on 3 where he's got 3 vertical unless he goes out. And then my backer on the 3 receiver side's got curl 3, just like we do in blue. So all carry is blue, but we're going to have both our safeties on the same side now. Where in blue, we've already committed a safety over to the single side. Okay. So here's carry. Trying to go a little bit faster here. I know I'm getting short on time. So here's my corner. He's got Verta 2. So we did it where the corner's got the carry 2 read. My safety's got Meg on 1. And I really like doing it this way because look at the disguise again. We're able to hold this too high disguise the entire time. And what are we inviting them to do right now? Most teams would throw a bubble. They're screaming, man, we got 2 over 3. Let's throw the bubble. Well, my corner's really playing 2. So it's going to be pretty hard for number 1 to block him when he's coming in so hard on 2. And we can still defend the bubble really well. We're actually kind of enticing teams to do it. The other reason why I really like doing it with the corner as our carry 2 player instead of our safety, besides the disguise, again, the route they never want to throw is the vertical of number 1. So when this guy doesn't run vertical and he runs shallow, I can gain this guy back in. because then I'm not wasting a defender. So here we get a bunch of slants, corners inside the slant of 1, my curl 3 droppers inside the slant of 2, safeties up over the top. Once again, able to hold its disguise all the way to the end. Is a great zone drop over here. Let the angle of the back's departure pull your hook curl defender underneath the route of number 1, right there. He'll take the back on the flare as the curl flat dropper, and then he's got to pick up any wheel route as a curl flat dropper. Okay. So Southern States for us means we're playing carry to the 3 receiver side. So again, carry and blue are very similar. So Northern States are blue, Southern States are carry, right? So Texas just means our safety is going to be the one playing carry 2, and our corner is going to be the one that's playing meg on 1. We usually do that versus heavier sets where they're going to have number 2 attached, like right here in this example. Has 2 motions in. Our safety is going to roll down. And now again, we have numbers in the box. Our safety is usually a better edge setter than a corner. So then he can set that edge. Playing carry to the 3 receiver side, playing zone back to the single. Okay. So then if we want to do it where the corner is the one that's got the carry 2 read and the safety's playing meg on 1, we call that Georgia. And again, this is more whenever 2 is extended. Again, great disguise. Allows us to hold the 2 high as long as possible. Once again, looking at this, right? This screams, we got 3, they got 2. Throw the bubble, throw the RPO. Okay. You pick one of these off, it's usually going to be a touchdown. So good disguise there by our guys in holding. Okay. Let's say we do like the corner and run support. If we like the corner and run support, then we're going to play trap, which trap is a cover 2 concept. Okay. That's all this is. But our corner is not going to use a hard funnel technique. He is going to trap inside the number 1 wide receiver. So he lines up 7 by 1. His eyes are inside. He is reading run first because he is a run defender. So this is how we can get that extra defender in the box without playing man over here. All right. And so he's playing the flat, just like a corner would play flat and cover 2. He's just not using a hard funnel technique. The safety, he's got the deep path. So if only 1 vertical threat, he's working to stay on top of 1. And then my backer is playing hook curl just like he would in zone. Same thing, let the angle of the back's departure determine your angle of departure. So here's a great example of, again, getting a corner into the fit. So this is an air raid team. So right now we're showing a 4-man box, right? I'm not kidding you. This is a 4-man box. They have 5 to block 4, right? So they should run the ball here. Well, we're going to blitz this guy off the edge and we're going to trap our corner. It just became a 6-man box for us. So once again, trying to get offenses to do what you want them to do and then having the strength in your defense to take care of it. We just disguised this out of a 3 high look. This is just my Mike backer right here. That's all we did. We just backed up my Mike backer. He's still doing the exact same responsibility he has any other time. So he's going to come down here and he's going to play my 3 dropper. But if you watch my corner, he cannot get cut off by number 1. As long as he beats 1, nobody else is going to block him. Because once again, these guys are not taught to look at corners in run support. Near foot, near shoulder. We get a tackle for loss when we had a 4-man box. Love it. All right. Same questions. Are we worried about 3 verts? No. Let's play stress. Okay. So once again, West Coast State, we're playing Nevada. Nevada is stress to the 3 receiver side, trap to the single. Here's your speed motion. On the motion, we're going to Nevada. Once again, what does it look like? 5-man box. We got 5 to block 5. Hand it off. Sure. Here's my corner on the trap. There's my 6th defender. So we still have the extra defender in the box. We're still playing 3 over 3 over here for the screen. Not worried about the 3 verts. Okay. Are we worried about the verticals? Yes. Right. If we want the Mike backer to be on the vertical 3, Midwest State, we're playing Missouri. Okay. So we're playing trap over here. And then again, we play palms on 1 and 2, and we give the backer the vertical 3. So here's an example of that. Okay. Same team. We're presenting at 5, a 4-man box. Here's my corner trapping up top. Again, this is just my Mike backer. We just put him back at 10 yards to give the illusion of a 3 high safety look. He's got the vertical 3. Here we're playing palms. So, mix. Okay, 2 comes out. Corner's going to take him. Safety, eyes and body to 1. Now he tries to throw the RPO. We're on it. We get a sack when the quarterback tries to throw the RPO. Take it. Okay. And then the last one here, blue, because we're worried about the 3 verticals. We want the outside backer to take it. Northern State. So we're playing blue, and then we're playing trap over here. So we can get that extra defender into the box. All right. So here he's got Meg on 1. He's going to cheat the outside leverage. He's got mess on 2. He's reading 3. If 3's out, he's going eyes and body to 1, playing trap up top. Okay. Once again, we're presenting right now a 5-man box. So most teams are going to run it. Okay. We trap the corner. We're able to get the numbers back in our favor. Show this one from the other view. You can see our backer's doing a good job. He's just stack, track, and fall back here. There's our corner showing up into the mix. Okay. Now, Coach Davis, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right about my time, right?
You got about 5 minutes here, Coach.
Okay, so perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of fly through this next part because we've already talked about a lot of the main concepts, and I'm kind of going to explain what I really think you need to have in all of your systems. So let's say we do not need that extra defender in the box. Okay. Well, now you can again decide, can we play man-to-man to the single wide receiver side? And if you can, then we play what we call solo. Okay. And what solo is it's mess on 1 for the corner. It's man progression for the backer. And now my safety is going to play the vertical of 3. And with him playing the vertical of 3, this is just like whenever I make my usual 3 dropper, a vertical of 3 player. I could play any type of 2/3 split field coverage concept on number 1 and number 2. And it's a way for us to flood that 3 receiver side. We're going to get 5/3 again by doing this. Okay. So when we do this, this is like your old Sioux quarters type of thing. And we do this more in like a 2-minute drill type of stuff. A couple of years ago, we had a corner that was really great. So we did it a lot. But here's our corner, mess on 1. Here's my backer. There's the flare of the back. So he's going to take the back on the flare. Nothing else matters. Here's my safety. 3's vertical, so he's going to stay on 3 vertical. If 3's not vertical, my safety becomes a robber, robbing off the quarterback, just like we talked about before. Okay. So now we go back to that same scenario, and we work ourselves through. All right. If I am in a situation where I'm worried about the 3 verts, I'm going to play palms on the 3 receiver side. If I'm not worried about the 3 verts, I'm going to play trap. And now I can get my corner aggressive on the 3 receiver side because I'm not worried about the 3 verts. Okay. Now let's say we decided that we were going to play, we can't play man over here. Well, now we got to figure out, is that because this wide receiver is just really freaking good? He is their dude. He is so good. We have to have 2 people. Well, then we vice him, which means my safety and my corner are 2-on-1. They're both playing man. Corner's got underneath and outside leverage. Safety's on top and inside. My backer's playing man progression. Okay. If we don't think we need to truly double them, and it's because they're running a bunch of 2-3 route concepts over there, back swinging, they got your curl flat concept, then we play catch. Catch is trap. But now my corner is not in the run fit. So he's an aggressive funnel number 1 inside hard corner technique like cover 2. Okay. So the only difference between trap and catch for us is the corner's technique. In trap, he's not worried about rerouting 1. In catch, he is. So now he's not in the run fit, because I don't need him in the run fit because I already decided I don't need a +1 defender. Okay. And then we go right back to the same thing. If I need to have 3 verts, then I'm going to play blue or I'm going to play vertical 3. If I don't, then I'm going to play stress. So what I'll say here is this was a lot of information, and I understand that. Okay. Most high schools probably aren't going to put all this in, which I understand as well. But what you have to be able to do at every level of football is you got to find a way to get a +1 defender in the box if they're running the ball out of 3x1s. So you better know what fits you best. Maybe it's always making the cut call. Maybe it's always making the slash call. Maybe it's always making an insert call, and you only use one of them. Okay. You have to have a way to be able to play 2/3 to the single wide receiver side. Maybe for you, it's always easier just to play vice. If we ever need to get 2/3 to the single wide receiver side, and we don't need +1 in the box, we're always just going to play vice. We're going to add the extra guy on 1. Or maybe it's always catch. That's fine. Okay. But you have to have a way, and you better know how to cover 3 verts to the 3 receiver side. So maybe for you, it's, hey, we have a really good Mike backer, and anytime 3's attached, we're always going to play vertical 3. But if 3's extended, we'll always play it with blue. Or, hey, I don't think anybody's ever going to throw the vertical to 1. It's never going to happen. Play stress every single freaking time. That's fine too. But you have to know and teach your guys then in stress, this better be the vertical that they throw if we get 3 verts. If they throw the vertical 2 or the vertical 3 and we're not on it, that's our fault. Make them throw the vertical 1. And if they can complete it, then that's the coach's fault. But they won't complete that ball 10 out of 10 times. They're going to complete it 1 out of 15, 1 out of 20 times, and you can easily live with that. So I hope through going through this, you guys can see how it's really easy to kind of change what you're doing versus 3x1s based off of situations. You can end up playing stress on the 3 receiver side every single time. But hey, we need the extra defender. Now it's trap. We don't. Now it's catch, right? It's an easy adjustment for your guys, and we get to add the extra defender in the box, or we don't, right? So obviously we're able to spend more time with our guys so we can get a little more complex than most guys at the high school level can. But I hope everybody was able to get something out of this. Once again, I'm an open book. I can share this whole thing with you where you guys can kind of see those slides a little bit more in depth and you can read through that stuff. The best way to contact me is through Twitter. It's just my name, Jason Thier. So it's at Jason Thier. Send me a message and let me know you're interested in having this or you have questions about it, and I'll get everything I can to you as fast as possible. And hopefully I'm able to make my way back out there again this summer to come work some camps. And if I do, and you guys want to sit down and get on a board, like I said, I love to talk football and I love to give back. This is the way that I can kind of give back to the communities that help us out in recruiting and all that type of stuff. And it would be my pleasure to do that.
Thank you, Coach.
My pleasure.
That was killer. I'll make sure everybody's got your info and we'll roll from there. And thank you so much again. That was killer. That was good.
All right. And if you guys need anything, you guys let me know. All right.
All right, Coach.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Have a great day, my friend.
You too.
All right, gentlemen. Let's see who's the next session up here. Does anybody know? Running back fundamentals. We'll be on in about 3 minutes, fellas.
Watch for a quarter blitz this year.
Yeah, hey. Let's roll. Let's get on the chalkboard, Donnie.
I'm not gonna tell them I'm like food service, you never see this one coming because they line up like that.
Yeah.
Blitz corners.
Yeah.
Boy, that kind of makes Khalil's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Let's see here. I'll be right back, fellas. I'm gonna hit the head myself, and then we'll get rolling momentarily. Beal. Is Coach Beal on here right now?
Hey, Tim, this is Walt. He's coming in.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go get the recording figured out for downstairs.